My name is Haika with Campus Reform, and today we're going to be asking students what they think about the recent protests to remove certain statues off of campuses, including Judge Baylor here. Should they stay or should they go? Let's go see what they think. In recent years, there have been protests around the country to remove certain statues. At one point, there was a protest here at Baylor University to remove the statue of Judge Baylor, co-founder and namesake of the university, in order to promote racial healing. And do you think this was a good idea?
It shows a strong history of the school, but at the same time, that history might not be the best.
You have to balance the historical impact that Judge Baylor has had on campus while also weighing the atrocities.
He's the namesake of the university, but then also I think it's ignorant to act like these things didn't happen.
If he's got racially motivated history, maybe there's some merit to that discussion.
By removing these statues, we're removing history, and by doing that, there's this fear that we might repeat the history.
The thing is that removing a statue isn't going to promote racial healing. The statue is just that a statue.
I do understand the sentiment to want to remove a statue given the racial context.
I personally don't think it's a good idea. Although he did do some bad things, I think it's important to acknowledge it instead of hiding away from it.
Do you think having the statue on campus could be problematic in any way?
I think yes, but I think also we face too much backlash for taking it down.
Yes, it could kind of excuse some of those behaviors.
They didn't get the statue because they were slaveholders.
Anything, I think it's more of a reminder of where we came from and how much progress we've made.
A supporter of the protest said that once they remove Judge Baylor off of campus, then they could start to remove the rest of the stuff on campus that make them feel uncomfortable. So should we remove statues based off of whether we feel uncomfortable or not?
In America, a lot of people can get offended over the smallest things. It's just a statue.
At that point, anything and everything can be removed to the point where there's basically nothing left.
Removing it is definitely an option.
No, it's important to have that in the history.
There's a lot of things in this world that make us uncomfortable. If we start taking everything else that makes us uncomfortable, it could remove important aspects.
You have to understand why the people are feeling uncomfortable, and most of the times it's due to historical events that have happened.
If we just start taking away things that make other people uncomfortable, what's going to be left?
There's not really a good reason to be removing a statue, then I don't really see the point.
Who should decide whether or not the statue should be removed and on what grounds?
That's a good question.
Would you be in favor of removing other familiar symbols like names off of buildings or the American flag?
I don't believe we should start removing things just because they make me feel uncomfortable.
There can be names that can be revisited on our campus.
No, I would not. I wouldn't, because if we don't learn from our history, we will repeat it.
No.
There's been so much freedom and so many other things positive.
No, it's a part of history.
It's the reason why these people did something good that their names are there, not because they did something bad.
Some may argue that by removing the statues that you're erasing history, and that if you can't recall history, you're bound to repeat it. And so is it possible that we can acknowledge the history of these statues and learn from their mistakes so that we aren't bound to repeat them?
I don't think we're really in danger of that with the internet.
As long as people are being informed about what Judge Baylor did.
100%. I think we can always learn from the past.
I think so, and I think that's the important part of having these statues.
Removing statues does put that as a possibility.
That is basically the true calling of history. Remember them for what they did good, but still remembering that they are humans.
Absolutely.
I do believe that.
Definitely.
Yes, actually I do agree with that, because people still need to be knowledgeable. Something can't just simply be erased from history.